I thought I was your first love, but you treat me like a stand-in. The whole school knew Lucas hated me. I was the only blemish on the perfect resume of the Ice King Prince. His texts to me were always the same 3 words: shut up. Get lost. Annoying. Then one day, on his phone, I saw the contact name he'd given someone else, my star. And me. I was just plain Stella, not even worth a nickname. Later, I quit, and in my resignation email I wrote, I can't chase anymore. May you and Star be happy. That same night, the man who'd been ice cold for 10 years kicked in the door of my studio apartment. His eyes were scarlet as he shoved his phone in my face. The lock screen wallpaper wasn't some star, it was my hideous freshman boot camp week photo at 17. His voice shook. Stella, are you fucking blind? This is my first love, the only one I've ever loved for 10 years. I named her Star because she has stars in her eyes. And you are her. Stella sat at the far end of the long table, laptop on her knees, watching Hour's director talk non-stop about the Q3 performance plan, but not a single word made it into her ears. Her gaze drifted diagonally forward, completely beyond her control. Lucas occupied the dead center of the conference table, charcoal suit, shirt buttoned to the very top. He was studying a document, profile sharp enough to have been cut by a blade, thick lashes casting a small shadow under his eyes. 10 whole years. From Riley, to Eastbrook University classmates, to now, superior and subordinate. Stella smiled bitterly in her heart. Actually, they had never been anything. Stella. The low voice suddenly cut through. She jolted back to find everyone staring at her. Lucas's beautiful eyes were equally fixed on her, and they held no warmth at all. The South China numbers for Q3, the section you handle, still not submitted. I'll have it tomorrow. I asked for it today last week. He cut her off, tone as indifferent as a weather report. Next time bring your brain to the meeting. Snickers fluttered around the room. Stella's face burned crimson. She dropped her head and mumbled like a mosquito. Got it, Lucas. When the meeting broke, colleagues drifted out in 2s and 3s. Stella dawdled until the room was empty before she dared look up. Lucas remained in his seat, texting on his phone. Sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows and slid across his long fingers, hands she'd secretly watched countless times, writing at Eastbrook, shooting hoops at Eastbrook University, now typing on a keyboard. Every skipped heartbeat of her life had been gifted to this one person. Still here. Lucas had stood at some point. Jamie, he reached the door. He paused beside her. On pure instinct, Stella followed. They entered the elevator one after the other. In the sealed box it was only the 2 of them. She caught the faint cedar scent of him, and her pulse started sprinting again. Lucas, are you free tonight? I wanted to treat you to dinner, just to thank you for helping with that project. No. The refusal was instant, not even a second's hesitation. The prepared speech lodged in her throat like a fishbone. The elevator hit the lobby. Lucas strode out without a backward glance. She stood watching until his silhouette vanished through the revolving doors. 10 years. She chased him for 10 full years, bringing him breakfast, taking notes for him, drinking with him after breakups, firing off her resume the day he started Sterling. He'd always been like this. Shut up. Get lost. Annoying. Those were the 3 sentences he used most on her. Stella didn't know why she'd lasted this long. Maybe habit, so entrenched that pain felt ordinary. Her phone buzzed. She pulled it out. Maya had messaged. Drinks tonight. 0 excuses. Major gossip alert. Stella stared at the 3 exclamation marks and suddenly felt like crying. Maya was her high school friend and the only human who knew she loved Lucas. Every time Lucas bruised her, Maya poured liquor and cursed him. She typed back. Same bar, see you there. 7 that evening, a hidden izakaya in the alley. When Stella walked in, Maya was already drinking. She waved frantically. Get over here. Huge scoop. What scoop? Lucas. Maya lowered her voice, eyes gleaming. He's in love. Stella's chopsticks clattered onto the table. Who told you? My friend works next door to Sterling. Last month's team building. Someone peeped his phone lock screen wallpaper. Maya leaned in, melodramatic. Know what contact name he gave that person? Stella said nothing, heart hammering at her ribs. My star, Maya enunciated. My star. Who'd guess Mr. Iceface would whip up a sugary pet name like that? Stella froze, brain humming white noise. Star. So he could be gentle after all, just not toward her. Stella. Stella. Maya waved a hand in front of her eyes. You okay? I'm fine. Stella snapped out of it and pulled a smile. Good for him. He's finally got someone, about time I gave up. Damn right you should. 10 years, sis. 10. Has he ever smiled at you? Has he ever cared? Now he's got his star, wake up. I know. Stella lifted her glass and downed half in one go. The icy liquor scorched down her throat. The bite stung her eyes. She remembered Eastbrook, Lucas in the next seat, uniform always pristine, faint soap scent. She passed him a note. What breakfast burrito do you want tomorrow? He wrote back, whatever. She remembered Eastbrook University, learning which school he'd chosen, killing herself to get in, running into him at registration, choking on her own excitement while he merely nodded and walked past. She remembered the year he launched Sterling. She quit her safe hometown job, begged to be hired. He frowned at her resume but took her in. She thought it was a beginning. It turned out to be the same invisibility, new address. My Star. Such a sweet name. Whoever wore it must be happier than the sunrise. Stella poured herself another. Maya stopped her. Easy, you've got work tomorrow. Work. She laughed thinly. Right. Tomorrow I'll see him, hear him say Stella, you're annoying. She tossed the drink back. Maya, am I pathetic or what? Cut it out. I am. Knowing he hates me, still crawling over. Knowing I'm nowhere in his eyes, still telling myself maybe one more try. Try my ass. Maya slapped the table. If a guy likes you, you won't have to chase. If he doesn't, you can run yourself into a grave and he still won't blink. Stella stayed quiet. She knew Maya was right. So what? If hearts came with breaks, she'd have stopped loving him ages ago. That night Stella drank herself tipsy. Maya poured her into a cab and tucked her into bed. Half conscious, she fumbled for her phone, opened WhatsApp, tapped Lucas's chat. Her last message, Lucas, South China data tomorrow for sure. No reply. Scroll up. Every bubble was hers. Lucas, left your breakfast burrito on your desk. Lucas, revised proposal emailed. Lucas, happy birthday. Lucas, happy new year. Lucas, are you okay? His answers, always. Got it. No need. The oldest went back 8 years. She'd asked Lucas, what kind of girl do you like? He'd answered, definitely not you. Stella stared at that line for a long, long time. Then she opened Instagram and posted a visible to me only story. Year 10, I give up. Phone tossed aside, eyes closed. Tears slipped from the corners, dampening the pillow. Morning came courtesy of her alarm, head pounding, throat sandpaper. She gulped a huge glass of water and checked the time. 9 a.m. late. She scrambled through a shower and clothes, sprinted into Sterling at 9:30. Sneaking toward her cubicle, she'd just sat when Lucas stepped out of his office. He glanced at her, said nothing. But she read every layer of disgust in that single look. Stella, you reek of booze. Stella, you're late. Stella, you're an irritant. She dropped her gaze, opened her laptop, and started pulling the South China numbers. The entire morning she never once looked his way. At noon she ordered takeout and ate alone. Cameron AME over. Stella, why aren't you hitting the cafeteria with us? Too lazy to move. Oh. Cameron oured his voice. Did you piss Lucas off or something? He seems extra harsh, extra impatient, extra like she was trash blocking the corridor. Stella smiled. Nope. He just dislikes me as a species. Heh. Cameron as stunned. Why? You're great. Why? Stella had no idea. Ever since Eastbrook it had been like that. She acted normal with everyone except him. Bring him breakfast burrito, stop pestering. Take notes for him, mind your own business. Slip him exam answers. He dropped the slip on the floor. She wanted to ask, Lucas, what exactly did I do to offend you? But she didn't dare. She was afraid he would text back a single word, scram. At 3 in the afternoon, Stella finally finished sorting the data and sent it to Lucas. 5 minutes later she got his reply. South China YOY is wrong, redo it. Stella stared at the line until her eyes stung. She'd checked the numbers 3 times. They were clean. Still, she said nothing, typed OK, and reopened the spreadsheet to start from scratch. When quitting time rolled around, her co-workers left one by one. Stella sat frozen at her desk, staring at the monitor. Suddenly her phone buzzed. She thought it was Maya, but when she glanced at the screen she froze. It was a message from Lucas, 3 words only. "Don't work late." Stella studied those 3 words for a long while. This was the first time he'd cared enough to reach out. Cold tone, yes, and only 3 words, but her traitorous heart raced anyway. She typed "OK, leaving now." After sending, she stood and packed up. At the elevator bank she ran into Lucas coming from the other direction. They waited in silence, long, heavy silence. The doors slid open on an empty car. They stepped in and stationed themselves a yard apart. Stella kept her head down, eyes on her shoes. Without warning, Lucas spoke. "Who'd you drink with last night?" Startled, Stella lifted her gaze. His profile was turned to her. She couldn't read his expression. "Ah, Maya, mm." Silence again. The elevator hit the lobby. Lucas strode out. Stella followed, his back shrinking ahead of her, and suddenly boldness surged. "Lucas." He halted and swung around. The setting sun gilded him from behind, painting him in warm gold. His face lay in shadow, but his eyes were bright, bright like star. Stella's fists clenched, voice quavering. "There's something I need to ask." "Shoot." Do you already have someone you like?" His brows knit. Stella's heart iced over. "Who told you that?" "So it's true," she countered. "Your contact name for her is my star?" Lucas said nothing. Silence was answer enough. Stella smiled, an expression uglier than tears. "I see." She turned and fled, nearly running. Behind her Lucas called, "Stella." She didn't look back. One glance and her tears would fall in full view. That night she locked herself in her studio apartment and stared at her phone forever. At last she opened WhatsApp, entered Lucas's chat, and hovered a trembling thumb. Then she typed, "Lucas, I resign." She paused. It should be "I've resigned," but whatever. He wouldn't care. She pressed send, opened his profile, scrolled to the bottom line of red text. "Delete contact." "Confirm delete Lucas." She tapped yes. Something inside her shattered with that press. "Stella, you're hopeless. 10 years of chasing, and you couldn't even manage a proper goodbye." She collapsed on the mattress, buried herself under the quilt, and sobbed. Next morning she didn't go to Sterling. She powered her phone off and slept until 2 in the afternoon. When she got up her eyelids were puffed like walnuts. She studied the stranger in the mirror, 24, single, jobless, the man she'd crushed on for a decade, in love with someone else, utter failure. With a sigh she boiled herself a bowl of noodles. She'd just set it on the table when frantic pounding erupted. Bang bang bang. "Stella. Open up, Quinn." That was Lucas's voice. "Stella. I know you're in there, open the door." She stood in the living room clutching the bowl, feet nailed to the floor. Why was he here? To scold her for quitting? Demand why she deleted him? Or to spell out that she'd been deluding herself, he already had his star? The knocking stopped. Her phone rang, she'd forgotten airplane mode. She hesitated, then answered. "Open the door." He was breathless, as if he'd sprinted. "I'm right outside. How do you know my address?" "Personnel file." "Stella, please, we need to talk." "Talk about what?" She tightened her grip, knuckles white. "Lucas, there's nothing. I emailed my resignation, sign it and it's done. As for deleting you, don't mind that. I know you love someone else, I won't bother you." "Stella." He cut her off, frantic. "Just open the damn door." The banging resumed, louder. She bit her lip, strode over, and yanked the door open. Lucas filled the frame, suit rumpled, tie askew, hair disheveled, panting, eyes bloodshot as if he'd been up all night. In 10 years she'd never seen him anything less than icily immaculate. Now here he stood on her crummy threshold, a lost kid searching for home. "Yo." He barreled in before she could finish and thrust his phone at her face. "Look." Instinct made her step back. Her gaze dropped to the screen, his lock screen wallpaper. A photo of a girl in camo fatigues stood under harsh sun, cheeks sun-scorched, hair plastered to her forehead, grinning so hard her eyes were slits, yet they sparkled like they held galaxies of star. "Quinn." It was her, 17-year-old Stella during freshman boot camp week, snapped without her knowing. "That's my first love," Lucas rasped beside her ear, voice shredded. "The only one I've wanted for 10 years. He paused, pinning her with red-rimmed eyes. "I labeled her Star because there's star in her eyes, and you are her." A buzzing filled Stella's skull. What did he just say? What? "I said I'm fucking in love with you," Lucas shouted, entire frame shaking. Since high school, for a full decade, Stella went stone still. He dragged in air, gave a brittle laugh at her statue impression. "Don't believe me?" She finally found words. "You're lying. You always brushed me off, breakfast burritos annoying, messages telling me to scram. Because I didn't know how to face you." Lucas cut in, voice raw. "Stella, do you know what I was like back then? Poor, clueless, alive only because of scholarships. You sat beside me every day bringing breakfast, taking notes, even trying to slip me answers. Know how that felt?" She stared. "I felt unworthy, that the closer you came, the more obvious it would be that I was nothing. The nicer you were, the more I panicked. So that's why." "Yes." He met her gaze squarely. "I feared if I fell and you saw the real me, you'd leave. You were dazzling, half the school chasing you, why pick the broke loner?" Tears sprang to her eyes. "Yet you still fell. Couldn't help it." His eyes blazed. Silence, thick, endless. Stella's thoughts tangled. He loves me. He always has. 10 years. Then what of her grievances? Sleepless nights. The barbs she'd swallowed? "You're lying." The words left her cold. "If you'd loved me, you'd have come to Eastbrook University. You didn't. I chased you to Sterling and you ignored me. You treat everyone better than me. Can't explain that, can you?" Lucas had no reply. Her heart sank in slow motion. Speechless. She laughed miserably. "Lucas, spare me the bedtime story. I'm glad you found your star. I'm done chasing. Just leave." "Because I was terrified." He raised his head, eyes blood-red. "Quinn. I feared that once you knew, you'd bolt, that up close you'd see I'm dull, broke, a bore unworthy of you. I missed my shot in high school. In college I thought you'd come, then we met at Sterling and I was ecstatic, but the fear crept back. Maybe you were only nostalgic for the distant Ice King deskmate, maybe time would prove me empty and you'd walk away. I couldn't stomach that." Her tears fell freely now. "Lucas, you jerk. I know. Do you have any idea I've waited 10 years for you? I know. Do you know how much it hurt every time you texted me get lost? I know. Do you know?" She choked. "Do you know my heart shattered when I saw that contact name my star?" A flicker finally crossed Lucas's face. "That my star," he said, eyes locked on hers, "is you." He pulled up a photo on his phone and handed it over. It was their Eastbrook class picture, pixels grainy after a decade. She was tilting her head, laughing with the person next to her, eyes curved into crescents. Someone had circled her face in red and scribbled 3 words beside it. "My star." "I've kept this for 10 years, Lucas said. "Whenever I wanted to talk to you, I stared at it and told myself, wait until I'm good enough, until I deserve you." Stella stared at the photo, crying too hard to speak. "Yesterday you asked if I liked someone," Lucas went on. "I didn't answer because I didn't know how. Then you walked out, sent your resignation email, and deleted me." He stepped closer, forcing her to meet his eyes. "I called and texted all night, red exclamation marks everywhere. I wanted to smash my phone. So you came to smash my door instead?" "Exactly." He said it like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. "Stella, I've held back for 10 years. I'm done." He reached out and wrapped his fingers around her wrist. His palm burned, heat shooting through her until she went rigid. "You asked if I like someone. Here's your answer." He dipped his head, gaze boring into hers. "Yes, for 10 years. Her name is Stella." The idiot standing right in front of me. Tears streamed down Stella's face. "You're the idiot," she sobbed. "Your whole family are idiots." Looking at her messy crying, Lucas suddenly smiled. He brushed the tears from her cheeks with his thumb. "Stop it, you look hideous." "You just called me hideous." Stella glared, eyes red. 2 seconds ago I was your star, now I'm hideous. Not hideous. His gaze softened like melting sugar. Even if you were, I'd still love you. Stella hesitated, then punched his chest. Lucas, you jerk. He grunted but didn't dodge. Instead he pulled her into his arms. Stella froze. His embrace was warm, scented faintly with cedar. She buried her face against his shirt and felt his heart hammering like a drum. So he could get nervous too. So his heart could race too. So he had loved for 10 years, same as her. She slid her arms around his waist. Lucas. You're not allowed to say I'm annoying anymore. Okay. Not allowed to tell me to get lost. Okay. Not allowed to ignore my messages. He looked down at her, eyes smiling. Then you're not allowed to delete me again. Stella shot him a look. You deserved it. He laughed and hugged her tighter. Stella. What? Let's be together. Stella tipped her head back at him. His eyes were bright like a star. The man she'd watched for 10 years was holding her, asking to be together. She wanted to cry. She wanted to laugh. In the end she rose on tiptoe and pressed a kiss to his chin. Okay. That evening, sunset spilled through the window over the two of them wrapped in each other's arms. The studio apartment was tiny, run down, the furniture ancient. Yet in that moment Stella thought it the most beautiful sight she'd ever seen. Lucas was no aloof iceberg. He was just a closet romantic. No, an absolutely shameless closet romantic. Their first weekend together he volunteered to help her move. Your dump of a studio, he muttered, the paint's peeling off the walls. Stella side-eyed him. I've lived here 3 years, you're just now calling it a dump. He paused, awkward. Before. I didn't dare come in. Stella remembered him smashing through her door and laughed. You came in that night. That was because I thought you'd run away, he said, gaze sliding off hers, ears turning red. I didn't care about anything else. Watching the flush crawl up his ears, Stella's heart melted. So his ears turned red when he was shy. So his fists clenched when he was nervous. So his eyes curved like crescent moons when he smiled. She'd never noticed before, she'd never dared look. On moving day Lucas showed up with an SUV. Stella didn't own much, a few boxes did it. He hauled them up and down, sweat soaking his hair, refusing to let her lift a finger. Just sit. I can help. Sit. Stella parked herself on the steps and watched him shuttle back and forth. On the last box he stumbled. The carton hit the pavement and spilled its contents. Stella ran over. You okay? He shook his head and crouched to gather the things, then froze. She looked down and blushed scarlet. It was her diary, 100 little things about Lucas. He glanced up. Stella wanted to vanish into the sidewalk. Don't read that. He already flipped it open. September 3rd, 2014. He read aloud. Lucas wore a white shirt today, unreal gorgeous. I sneaked 7 glances. He never noticed. Stop. October 17th, 2014. He had a cold, kept coughing. I slipped a packet of cold meds into his desk. He doesn't know it was me. Lucas, January 8th, 2015. Finals, he ranked first in the grade. I was 58th. I swore next term I'd crack top 50 so I could be closer to him. He lifted his eyes. Their depths were an ocean. Stella snatched the diary, cheeks flaming. Why you can't invade my privacy? He studied her, then smiled, beautiful and bright. Stella. What? I always thought I was the one secretly loving you, he said. Turns out you were doing the same. Stella mumbled. Well, duh. Who do you think chased you for 10 years? He pulled her to her feet and into his arms. No more entries, he whispered against her ear. Ask me anything and I'll tell you myself. Stella hid her face against his chest and gave a small, muffled, okay. Week 2, Stella returned to Sterling to collect her things. Her resignation was final, but a few personal items still sat at her desk. Inside the elevator she bumped into Cameron. The second Cameron spotted her, eyes lit up. Stella. What are you doing here? Picking up my stuff. I've missed you so much since you left. Cameron dragged her aside, gossiping non-stop. Hey, do you know what's up with Lucas lately? Stella's heart skipped. What about him? He's been weird. Cameron lowered his voice. He actually smiled in the Monday meeting. I've worked here 3 years, first time I've seen that. Stella. And yesterday he left at 5:30. Someone spotted him at IKEA choosing a mattress. Stella. Do you think he's dating? Stella managed a dry laugh. Maybe. Oh my God, who on earth could melt Mount Lucas? I'd love to meet this goddess. Stella stayed silent, jamming things into her tote. Outside the building she texted Lucas. Heard you were mattress shopping at IKEA? He replied instantly, yours is too hard. You'll sleep better on a softer one. Stella's face flamed. How do you know it's hard? You've never slept on it. He wrote, I could tell when I held you that night. Stella stared at the line, her heart drumming so loud she felt it in her throat. Since when did this man become fluent in dirty sweet talk? Week 3 Stella drove home to see her parents. Her mom called begging for a visit. Stella asked Lucas if he wanted to come. He froze for 3 full seconds, then nodded. She had never seen him that petrified. The night before he rang her 3 separate times. What does your mom like? I'll bring something. Does your dad smoke? Does he drink? Are your grandparents coming? What should I wear? Stella laughed until her sides hurt. You handle million-dollar clients just fine. This is different, he muttered. Business is business. Meeting your parents is, what? A pause. One of the biggest things I'll ever do. Stella clutched her phone, warmth flooding through her. Next morning they hit the highway. Lucas said barely 10 words the whole ride, but Stella could practically hear him rehearsing introductions in his head. At the door her mom was stir-frying. Her dad sat reading the paper. Mom, Dad, I'm home. Her mom peered out of the kitchen. You're back. And this must be. Her gaze landed on Lucas and shone like a spotlight. Oh my, you're Taylor. Come in, come in. Lucas bowed politely. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Hawthorne, Mr. Hawthorne. I'm Lucas, Stella's boyfriend. Stella bit her lip to keep from laughing. He looked ready to salute. At lunch her mom piled food onto his plate. Taylor, eat more, you're so skinny. Mom, Alex. I heard you two were high school classmates. Yes, Riley. Old friends, perfect. Her mom beamed. Stella was always so quiet. I worried she'd stay single forever, and then she quietly brings home such a handsome guy. Stella protested. Mom. Lucas gave a small smile and glanced at her. She used to talk a lot, he said. Every single day she'd flood me with words. Stella blinked. He meant Eastbrook. Back then she had indeed chatted at him non-stop, even though his replies never stretched beyond a syllable or two. Really? Her mom brightened. Wonderful, wonderful. Here, Taylor, have some soup. After the plates were cleared, her mother tugged her aside. He's a good kid, she whispered. His eyes never leave you. I've been around the block, I can tell. Stella's cheeks burned. Mom, treat it seriously. Mom patted her hand. True affection is rare these days. On the ride home Stella stayed silent. Lucas glanced over. What's wrong? Nothing. She stared out the window. My mom says you're decent. The corner of his mouth lifted. And what did you say? I told her. She turned to him. I told her I think you're pretty decent too. Red light. He braked, leaned across, and pressed a kiss to her forehead. It'll only get better, he said. 1 month in, Stella made a discovery. Lucas kept an album, every picture was of her. Not recent shots, they were old. Stella dozing on her desk at Eastbrook, Stella gossiping between classes, Stella's hair whipping in the wind during morning drills. The Eastbrook University batch was wilder, her reading in the library, munching in the dining hall, jogging laps on the track. You stalk-shot me? Yap. He didn't even flinch. Whenever I missed you, I'd scroll through them. Words failed her. All these years, she hadn't been the only one hoarding longing. He'd hoarded too. At the last page she froze. Freshman boot camp week, mid-July sun grilling the pavement, her face lobster red. She remembered almost passing out from the heat. She had seen this photo before. It had been his lock screen wallpaper. When did you take this? She asked. He tilted the phone. Day 2 of boot camp. How did you even? He hesitated. You collapsed that day. Memory slammed back. Heatstroke had knocked her out. She woke in the nurse's office with no clue who had carried her. That was you, he nodded. I hauled you to the clinic and waited outside. When they let me peek in, you were lying there, cheeks scarlet, looking dazed. He paused, smile curving. So I snapped one. Her eyes stung. Even then, he'd already stationed himself beside her. Lucas. Why didn't you ever tell me? Looking straight at her, he answered. Back then I couldn't. And now? He dipped his head, brushing her lips. Still embarrassing, he murmured against her mouth, but not impossible anymore. Stella laughed and looped her arms around his neck. Outside, the night was thick with stars. It was an ancient smartphone, its screen spiderweb cracked. She'd found it in his drawer and, curious, plugged it in. To her surprise, it booted. She swiped to photos, smiled at the bootcamp pic, then kept scrolling, and hit a screenshot. A WhatsApp thread. Their WhatsApp thread. Dozens of blue bubbles from her. Grey replies barely a handful. Yet every line she'd sent was circled in red, annotated in notes. Today she asked what breakfast I like. I said whatever. Truth, I love the pork buns she brings. Today she asked if I'm free this weekend. I said nope. Truth, I spent it secretly studying in the library just to watch her. Today she said she bombed a quiz. I didn't answer. Truth, I wanted to say it's okay, I can tutor you. Line after line, tiny cramped handwriting. Stella's tears dripped onto the glass. He had read every word. He had memorized every word. He had cared, terrified to show it. She padded into the kitchen. He was searing salmon. One look at her tear-streaked face and he froze. What happened? She held up the phone. Explain this. His expression faltered. How did you dig that up, Lucas? Her voice shook. Why hide it? He killed the burner, wiped his hands, stepped closer. Tell you what, he whispered. That I devoured each text and answered everyone in my head. That I missed you so hard it felt like fever. That I've been crazy about you since day one but was too scared to breathe a word. He drew her into his arms. I couldn't say it. Stella burrowed her face against his chest, soaking his shirt. You idiot. Certifiable, he agreed. Who else nurses a crush for 10 years without a peep? That night, curled against him, she reopened the screenshot. A sudden realization struck. Lucas, your contact name. Chem, my star. She lifted her head. That's me. But my eyes were slits in that bootcamp photo. Where's the star? He blinked, then chuckled. Remember when I said I first noticed you? Jordan. 3rd day of 9th grade, he said. You sat beside me. Morning reading, sunlight poured through the window and landed on your face. You turned, asked if I wanted to drill vocab together. He paused. Your eyes caught that light, sparks inside them. I thought, this girl has star in her eyes. Quinn. 3rd day of 9th grade. Week 1 of knowing each other. That early, that long. So what happened after? She pressed. Why the silence? He was quiet for a beat. Because I decided you were too good, he said. Too good for me. Stella's heart twisted. So you iced me out. Not on purpose. He shook his head. I didn't know how to talk without betraying everything. Scared you'd notice and laugh. Who does this loser think he is? You're no loser. He smiled faintly. Stella understood. The decade had scalded them both. She had chased to cloak her feelings. He had hidden to cloak his insecurity. Lucas. Yeah, no more hiding. She tightened her arms around his waist. I'm keeping you. He gazed down, eyes soft with light. Deal. 3 months later Stella dragged Lucas to meet Maya. Maya was the first to know and the loudest to react. Holy crap. Her eyes bulged when they walked in together. You two, since when? 3 months, Stella supplied. 3 months. Maya shrieked. 3 months ago you were sobbing on my couch about some star thing. What the hell? Lucas looked sheepish. Stella rushed to clarify. That star is me. Maya's brain short-circuited. Come again. The my star in his phone, Stella said. It's me, high school me. Maya swiveled her stare from Stella to Lucas, jaw unhinged. So he's been crushing since Eastbrook, Stella finished. Same as me, 10 years. Maya counted to 3. then exploded into laughter. Bwahahaha. You, both of, bwahahaha. Idiots. Gigantic idiots. She doubled over, tears streaming. Stop cackling. Stella protested, cheeks on fire. Can't, comedy gold. Maya wiped her eyes. I told you if he liked you, you wouldn't have to chase. Turns out the fool's been whipped since homeroom. Ha ha ha. Lucas cleared his throat, ears red. When Maya finally sobered, she pointed at him. Lucas, right? Hurt her and I'll end you. Not happening, he said. Good. She nodded, then cracked up again. But seriously, you're perfect for each other. One chased for 10 years without confessing, one hid for 10 years without breathing a word. How'd you survive? Stella and Lucas exchanged a look. How had they survived? One sunrise, one sunset, 1 year, then another, thinking of each other. That was how. They drank late into the night. Tipsy Maya latched onto Lucas's hand. You have no idea how hard Stella's loved you. She lugged breakfast to school hoping I'd bump into you so it'd look casual. When you dated that chemistry girl junior year, she bawled on my carpet till dawn. The day you showed up at Sterling, she bought me 3 celebratory dinners. Stella flailed desperate signals. Maya was oblivious. Lucas's face shifted ache, remorse, devotion. I'm sorry, he blurted. He whispered, for what? For making you wait. Stella stared, eyes brimming. It's worth it, she said. When you finally get what you waited for, it's worth it. Maya laughed again beside them. You two are so sappy. Ever consider how the single dog over here feels? All 3 of them cracked up. That night Lucas drove Stella home. On the doorstep he didn't leave right away. He looked at her, gaze dark and bottomless. Stella. I won't make you wait ever again. She lifted her head. He bent and pressed a soft kiss to her forehead. Sam, I'm with you every step. Every night before she slept he watched her for the longest time. The stare was so intense it made her shy. What are you looking at? She asked. You, he said. I'm scared I'll wake up tomorrow and you'll be gone. Quinn, why would you think that? He was quiet a beat. Guess I'm used to it. Used to losing, used to missing out, used to liking someone and not daring to step closer. So now that he finally had her, it felt like a dream he might blink away. Stella's heart twisted. She reached out and hugged him tight. I'm not going anywhere, she said. I chased you for 10 years. Now that I've caught you, why would I vanish? He buried his face in the hollow of her neck and muttered a muffled, mm. The next day Stella made a decision. She took him back to their old high school. Eastbrook looked exactly the same building, same field. They stopped at their former classroom. The door was locked. Through the window they could see the desks had been replaced, but the layout hadn't changed. You sat here, Stella said, pointing to the window seat. I sat here. Lucas nodded, eyes unfocused, lost in the memory. You always napped on your desk, he said. Hair falling over half your face. You were spying? Yeah. She grinned. Then why didn't you tell me? He hesitated. I did, once. Quinn, when? Sophomore field day, he said. You'd just run the 800 and were crouched on the ground exhausted. I walked over and asked if you were okay. You looked up, eyes bright, and said, Lucas, are you actually worried about me? Stella remembered. She had run the 800 that day, had been half dead, and had asked exactly that. Then what? What had he answered? I said, no, Jamie, he murmured, holding her gaze. Then you laughed and said, I know, Quinn. She barely recalled the rest, only that she'd been happy because Lucas had spoken to her first. Thinking back, that Jamie had clearly been a lie. Lucas. Did you already like me then? He didn't speak, just looked at her. Then he nodded. Stella's eyes stung. So early. He'd liked her since sophomore year. How had she missed it? I'm sorry, she blurted. He blinked. What for? Sorry I was so dense, she said. If I'd figured it out then, we wouldn't have wasted all these years. He shook his head and pulled her close. Not your fault, he said. I was the coward. Sunlight streamed through the window and pooled around them. The hallway was empty, just the 2 of them. Stella. He looked down at her, eyes solemn as vows. Let's get married. Quinn. What did you say? Let's get married. He said it again. I don't want to wait. Not one more day. She stared, tears slipping free one by one. Is this a proposal? She asked with a teary laugh. No ring, no flowers, just a high school corridor. He smiled. Then he let her go, pulled a small box from his pocket, and flipped it open. Inside lay a ring, simple, delicate, perfect. I've had it ready a long time, he said. Too scared to bring it out, worried you'd think it was too fast, too sudden. He paused, gaze locked on hers. But just now, I decided I don't want to wait. He dropped to one knee and raised the ring. Stella, will you marry me? She looked down at the man she'd loved for 10 years, who'd dodged her for 10 years, who'd secretly loved her just as long. Now he knelt before her, asking for forever. She stretched out her hand and nodded. Yes. He slid the ring onto her finger, stood, and hugged her tight. Thank you, he whispered against her ear. Thank you for still being here. She flung her arms around his neck, crying and laughing at once. Thank you, she said, for being here too. That afternoon they wandered the campus for hours. When they reached the field they saw a handful of kids running laps, red-faced and panting. Stella suddenly remembered her own 8th grade self racing around the track. Know why I signed up for the 800? She asked. He shook his head. Because you were in the stands, she said. I wanted you to see me. He stilled, then smiled. I saw you, he said. Every single version of you, I saw. She tipped her face up. The sun crowned him in gold. This man, she'd loved him for 10 years. And she would love him for every decade that followed. Lucas. Let's have a baby someday. He arched a brow. That out of nowhere? Not at all. She grinned. I want to see if our kid gets star eyes. He kissed each eyelid. They definitely will. Sunset painted the field as they walked, hand in hand. Behind them lay their youth. Ahead of them lay Sam. During the toast she got tipsy, grabbed Lucas's hand, and declared, if you ever hurt Stella, I'll destroy you. Avery, I know. What do you know? Maya snapped. Do you have any clue how long she waited? How many nights she cried over you? Stella tugged her sleeve. Maya, stop. I won't. Maya shook her off and kept going. In high school she wrote you love letters, wrote, tore up, rewrote, never sent a single one. In college, when she heard you were dating someone, she ran to the rooftop and bawled for hours. She arrives at Sterling half an hour early every day just to glimpse you. Lucas's eyes darkened as he listened. He turned to Stella. She stood with head lowered, cheeks flushed. I didn't know any of that, he said quietly. Of course she didn't tell you. Maya cried. She was terrified you'd find her annoying, hate her even more. Lucas was silent a moment. Then he lifted his glass toward Maya. Thank you, he said, for staying by her all these years. Maya froze. From now on, he continued, I'll be the one staying. Maya's eyes reddened. She set down her glass and hugged him hard. You better keep that promise. I will. After the wedding they returned to their new home. Stella collapsed on the sofa, exhausted. Lucas sat beside her and drew her in. Tired, dead tired. He chuckled and rubbed her shoulders gently. The things Maya said, he began, why didn't you ever tell me? Stella hesitated. Why would I, she said. It's all in the past, but, Lucas. She cut him off, lifting her eyes to his. That's over. What matters is right now. He gazed at her, soft as moonlight. All right, he said. Then right now, anything you want to say to me? She thought, then smiled. Yes. What is it? She leaned to his ear and whispered, I love you. He paused before tightening his arms around her. Outside, the moon was round and stars shone bright. I love you too, he said. From way, way back. So far back. Back to the 3rd day of freshman year. Back to sunlight falling through a window onto a girl whose eyes sparkled. He hadn't known then that she would become the most important person in his life. Hadn't known he would love her for 10 straight years, and then Sam and onward. But now he knew. Stella. Thank you for chasing me for 10 years. She chuckled, snuggling closer. You're welcome, she said. After all, I caught you. He laughed. Yes, she had. And it was beautiful. Thank you for listening to today's story. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate it? If you enjoyed this video, please like and share it with friends. We look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe for more wonderful stories. See you next time.